All right, it seems like we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 6 of Sellics Thursday Live. We're so excited to have you here. For those of you who don't know, Sellics Thursday Live is a weekly show that we do where we chat with Amazon experts to help you navigate through this very hectic and uncertain time, and just to help you be more successful on Amazon. My name is Diana. I am a content creator here at Sellics. Some of you may have seen me in some of the trial videos or maybe over on our YouTube channel. And today I'm actually really excited because I'm joined by my colleague and Amazon seller, Yasser. Hi, Yasser. Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
hi Diana, thanks for having me. And hello everyone. Yeah.
We're so excited to have you here because
Mhm.
now that, we are 4 months into the crisis from when it first started, it's really good for us to get a better understanding, especially from a seller point of view, of what has happened and how you've been dealing with everything so far, and maybe some tips and strategies that you can share with everybody that have helped you navigate through
Mhm.
this time. So we're very excited to get into that. But before we do, maybe you can share a bit more about yourself, maybe how long you've been selling on Amazon for, and yeah, just a
Mhm.
quick little intro would be awesome.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, so my name is Yasser. I've been selling on Amazon now for around 3 years. Yeah, so the way I sell, I have fewer products, but I go in depth on the product. That means I have my own website, I work with influencers, I spend on marketing on Amazon and off Amazon, right? So yeah, that's a bit about me. And with Sellics, I take care of our biggest brands in terms of strategy, consultation, and account management, right?
Nice.
Mhm.
Awesome. So yeah, before we do jump into everything, I do want to let you guys know that we will be answering questions towards the end. So we'll do a little Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat and we would be happy to address those towards the end of the interview. And let's jump into it. So the way that we like to look at this whole crisis in Sellics is in phases. So, Yasser, I know you have
Yeah,
a timeline for us of the
yeah, I'll
phases.
share it. There you go.
Perfect. Awesome. So we like to look at it essentially in 4 phases. So the first phase would be when the lockdown started in China. So this was early January into February. And this is also where we saw the biggest impact on the supply side of things. So that would be the first phase. Then the second phase is essentially when the lockdown started to happen worldwide and started to have the impact on the Western world. And this is also when we saw Amazon place restrictions on FBA. And also during this time, there was a lot of shipping delays. So we like to call the Amazon side of things here phase 3. And also where we started to see the impact more so on the demand side. So I'm sure, Yasser, you have a lot to share on this because this is
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
where
no
you
big.
were most likely affected and you saw the biggest impact. And then now after phase 3, we're sort of going into phase 4 now, where we see that some restrictions have been now overturned by Amazon. So now they are not just placing importance on non-essential categories, but they are now accepting more products across different categories, maybe with less stock, but this is definitely a good sign. We're starting to see some light
100%.
at the end of the tunnel for
Finally.
Amazon sellers. Woo!
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the phase that we're in. And the idea here is to walk all of you through the phases, and for Yasser, of course, for you to share your
Mhm.
experience throughout each of the phases. So let's start off with the first phase. So, I
Yeah.
mean, what were your thoughts when you started to see that the
Mhm.
lockdown was happening in China and now the supply side of things was
Mhm.
getting affected? What were your thoughts? What were some strategies that you decided to implement during this time?
So yeah, it first started right Chinese New Year. So before Chinese New Year, I had a big launch of a product I was working on for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've done all the preparations. The launch was great, yeah, and I knew that I'm going to be almost out of stock after Chinese New Year, right? So I placed the first order, placed the deposit for the first order before Chinese New Year. And the whole thing unfolded during Chinese New Year. Yeah. And I was watching the news and seeing, okay, China is in lockdown. Yeah. What's happening over there? Doesn't look too good. People are not going to work. So I wrote, this is the first time I wrote my factory. Yeah. Or two of the factories I worked with over there. And the first answer was on 28th of January, which was still in the vacation time. So I was happy they answered it all, right? The answer was, everything is fine. Don't worry about it. The whole thing is in Wuhan. Wuhan is locked down, but we're fine. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Which, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was a bit calmer, but that didn't look right. Yeah, because the news said something else, basically, right? But at this point, there is not much you can do. Then on the 20th of February, after waiting, I think there were 2 weeks overdue of opening, I got the first notice that, yeah, we're going to open up soon. Yeah, so I got excited. Yeah.
So that's exciting. Yeah.
Exactly. I was almost running out of stock anyways, right? So I had to deal with that. But at least light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Right.
The delivery would be coming. What I did in terms of mitigating the impact of being out of stock, yeah, first of all, I wanted to prolong the time of being in stock for this particular product. The way I did this is by reducing ad spend. I think this is the first thing any seller would think of, right?
Right.
And the second thing is increasing the price a little bit, right? Just to slow down the sales velocity a little bit. I know this is controversial. So some people say you shouldn't do that because you don't want to have the conversion rate lower, yeah, when you run out of stock, because then it's going to be harder to get back in stock, right? When the items arrive at the warehouse. Yeah, so I've done that for a bit, but then what I noticed is, I think that might be a good tip for someone else as well. Some of my competitors, what they were doing is they were placing a second offer. So they had an FBA offer and a second offer, yeah, a fulfillment by merchant offer. So when they run out with their FBA offer, they still got the orders and they didn't lose their ranking, right?
Smart.
Exactly. So it's not counted out of stock.
Right.
Yeah. So I've done that for a few days with the delivery date of in 4 weeks, right? So you place the offer. You say in 4 weeks time you're gonna deliver, and sales continued. Right, sales continued as before, which was a bit surprising.
Okay, that is surprising.
It is surprising, which is good on the one hand side, right? Because sales continue and the ranks continue. But then I got freaked out after a few days. I thought, okay, what if the shipment doesn't arrive, right? So what do I do then?
Right.
Yeah, so after a few days, I turned that off as well, right? So I had some orders in place that I had to fulfill later through multi-channel fulfillment when they arrived. Yeah, but I did run out of stock eventually.
You did, okay.
So
what were the next steps when that happened?
So the whole.
What did you try to figure out there? Were you in full panic mode? What happened?
100%. I mean, everyone who has done a product launch and worked on it for quite a bit, an important product, not just throwing it out there, right, onto the Amazon market, but really working on it, doing external traffic, having the website ready. I even worked with influencers, right? You don't want to see that happen, right? So it really, it really hurts. So that was the only thing I could do before. And then I was happy that it was continued, production was continued. The delay was around 3 to 4 weeks, if I remember right. And so when it came back in, when the goods arrived at the Amazon warehouse, it takes always a few days until the listing is up there again, and you can actually start selling again. What I did, of course, is took my main keywords that I want to be ranking for, put them in a special campaign, sponsored products campaign, with a high bid adjustment on the top of search, and and really bid aggressively, right, for at least a few days, just to have that visibility, to get the sales velocity again through these keywords. And what I saw is the rankings went up very fast again.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
So I think this might have two reasons, either or the first one being a lot of competitors are also out of stock, right? So that's
maybe
one.
That worked to your advantage then.
Yeah, exactly. So that might have been one reason, or part of the reason, right?
Right.
Second one is because so many people are out of stock, and so many products, important products, are out of stock. Maybe the algorithm changed, I don't know, right? To be so fast back to the same position I've been to before. That never happened before. So usually when I'm out of stock for 3 to 4 weeks, it always takes, some time to get back to that same level of organic ranking.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
yeah,
so you had a bit of luck on that respect that
yeah, yeah. That's
you you managed to figure out a different option, diversify a bit. That was a big
mhm.
part of your strategy, right? To keep that
So
momentum going.
exactly. So that was on the short run. Yeah, what I could have done for this particular product, what I've done on the just to mitigate that risk for future. I've tried to look for different suppliers, obviously, right? So
Right.
if you know, okay, that region in China is affected, right? You want to have a different region with different factories as a backup plan. Yeah,
Right.
that's one thing. Yeah, and as a long-term plan, I even checked if I find suppliers in Europe, maybe, yeah, or in the
Okay.
US, right? Which
That's a
proved to
good
be a bit
strategy.
hard though, right? So
Really?
yeah.
Okay. I'm sure you weren't the
Mhm.
only one also trying to find different suppliers specifically at that time too. So
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and most of the responses, especially very early in the pandemic in China, right?
Mhm.
So around after the Chinese New Year, most of the factories were closed. Yeah. So the response I got,
Right.
we're not operational, we're not operational, we're not operational, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the main thing. And for Europe, I didn't find anyone who could, first of all, provide the product. Yeah,
Mhm.
supply me with the product that I needed, and the prices are way off, right? So whoever
Okay.
is used to buying from China to trying source outside will be tough. Yeah.
Hmm. And just out of
Mhm.
curiosity, what type of products do you sell, or maybe you can
Yeah.
share what category you're in?
So that particular product is in the health category. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's some sort of massage device. Yeah,
Okay. So quite a popular category to be in.
yeah, exactly, and one that is a bit less affected, yeah, from the whole Amazon restrictions thing,
Okay.
right? So that's a topic I think we cover in a bit as well.
Okay,
So
perfect.
yeah.
So, I
Hmm.
mean, once you had your products back in stock and, your rankings were not that effective,
Hmm.
you thought you saw the end and, light at
Yeah,
the end of the tunnel, but then right at that point, Amazon also places restrictions on FBA.
100%.
And what did you think there? You almost had
Yeah.
a win and you got through that first hurdle.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you do there? Were your delivery times or shipping times, I should say, to your customers severely impacted by this?
Hmm.
What was happening at this
Yeah.
point?
So
What
so I
other
was
did
yeah.
you decide to implement?
Hmm. So I was a bit lucky before that because I was afraid that the factory might shut down again or there might
Right.
be some supply issues. Of course, I didn't anticipate it coming to Europe so fast, right?
Mm,
I think very few people did. Those who did probably made a killing. Yeah, I mean, those people who
right.
bought masks and sanitizers in
Of
advance, right?
course.
There's a few people, yeah, that are very lucky, but it was a risk at that time, right, to do that. I did not foresee it coming this way, right? But I was freaked out by the supply side. Yeah, so I thought, okay, let me place a bigger order than usual,
Mhm.
and I placed two orders right away, basically. Yeah, one by air, just to
Okay.
have a quick replenishment, and one by sea, a bigger one. And when you created, and I think I created the orders in the Seller Central on the 16th of March, right? And these restrictions hit on the 17th, right? So I was
Okay.
super lucky. If I would have
You
waited
were
another
lucky,
day,
yeah.
I could have not created these orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one of the shipments is on the way still, right? And it's a bigger shipment. I've checked with Amazon. They said if you've created the order before that, right,
Mm-hmm.
and it's already you set it on shipped, yeah, that it has been shipped, you're fine. We will receive it and everything is good. Yeah,
So that was quite lucky then that you managed to put that
exactly.
order in a
Yeah,
day before, it seems.
yeah. No, I mean,
Nice.
I know a lot of people are, have had a lot of issues. I've had other issues with other products that I cannot replenish now, right?
Okay.
But yeah, for this particular product, but that was in the launch phase, right? And that it was a very important product to me. I was quite lucky. Yeah, and I mean, this was a short term, but of course, even though I was lucky, I
Mhm.
still want to be in a better position later on. Yeah, so how can
Right.
you be in a better position later on? The way I want to have options, right? So
Mhm.
I'm using FBA, but I want to have another fulfillment solution as well. Yeah, some fulfillment
Right.
partner, logistics partner, who I will be sending in future parts of my deliveries as well, at least. Yeah, so
Right.
parts of the goods will go to FBA. You know, even the ones that I placed now, parts are going to go to FBA because even there's a quantity restriction now, right? So I can't send all of the items, and parts will go
Exactly.
to this new logistics center.
Right.
Yeah.
So not putting all your eggs in one basket, diversifying has been
Mhm.
a really key learning for you in during this time, right?
100%, right? So diversification in two factors. First of all, on the supplier side, I want to, even this product, I want to have a second supplier for it. Different country, hopefully, to get it from. So maybe EU or even Germany, hopefully.
Right.
And from the logistics part, FBA, I'm going to continue FBA, of course, right? I mean, there's going to be always preferential treatment for FBA listings. I'm quite sure, even with seller fulfilled prime and such, FBA will still be number one. But having that option of having separate warehouse is going to be beneficial no matter what, right? So this is the way I see it. This pandemic, we're going through phases, but you never know how things are going to play out, right? Maybe there's going to be a second wave. Who knows, right? Maybe, and it's just a warning for all of us, you know. I think diversification, no matter what, Corona, no Corona, is important.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I wanted to ask you, has your advertising strategy changed at all throughout this time, especially once you were back in stock? Have you started bidding more actively in any campaigns? What's been your strategy there?
Yeah. So when I came back into stock, right, after being out for like 3-4 weeks for that very important product of mine that I put a lot of work in, of course, I put a lot of budget and high bids on these few keywords that I want to rank for.
Right.
But once, the sales velocity got to a point where it was back to normal or even a bit better than before, I reduced it to a regular level. So for me personally, I like having a split of 20 PPC, and 80 organic sales, something like that. 20 to 30% through PPC and 60 to 70 through organic sales.
Perfect.
And that's where I am right now.
Just quite curious because obviously advertising during this time is quite a hot topic, and a lot of people are saying, well, it depends, of course, what category you're selling in as well. So it's always very interesting to hear from an actual seller's perspective and how you've been able to navigate throughout this time and what you've implemented so far. So thanks for sharing that.
No, I mean, the demand obviously has shifted a lot, right? So for my product, it was kind of the same as before, but I see from other sellers, I mean, consumables are skyrocketing. Other products are going down in demand. Sports for home equipment is doing super great, right? We'll cover this topic, I think, later a little bit. But depending on where you are on the spectrum, you'll have a different advertising strategy, right? For consumables, you'll have to double down, right, to really gain that visibility. For products where the demand is going down, I would definitely not stop advertising, maybe even advertise a bit more, right, to maintain that market share. It really depends. Yeah.
That's what it seems like. It's on a essentially category product case-by-case basis.
Going back to the fulfillment center, I think I missed out on one point, right? So just this general diversification, where it led me to is now I just have more options, right? So the next product I was thinking about was a bundle, right? So before I would have to find a way or a place where I would bundle it. Now with this new warehouse in place, I already talked to them and I was like, okay, if I send you the packaging, right? And if I send you 3 different shipments, will you put it together for me? And they said, yeah, of course, fine, right? So this gives you additional options, right? I mean, of course, you try to make the best out of crisis like this, right? If you can come out stronger than before, I mean, you should, right? And it's been a lesson for me at least, and a push to do something.
Right. And thinking of more creative ways as well.
And
to come out of it successful.
And it leaves you at a better position later on, right? If you diversify.
Right. Makes sense. Perfect. So have you been chatting with other sellers? Perhaps maybe you're in any groups or forums where a lot of sellers have been sharing their thoughts on this whole process. What has been the sentiment out there for sellers? I know for you, you've had, I wouldn't say luck, but you know, the situation probably could have been a lot worse. But what are your takes on what other sellers have gone through and maybe what strategies that have been working for them as well?
I think in general, it's a big win for e-commerce. I mean, of course, it's a very sad situation. I don't want to be insensitive about that, right? But in terms of e-commerce, we're going to see an uptake, right? We're going to see a big increase in demand. Brick and mortar is going to shift to e-commerce. And you can see that already. So for the bigger part of sellers, I would say sales are increasing. Yeah, if you're not hit by these restrictions of Amazon, if you're diversified already enough and you have your own logistics in place, right? Yeah, if these things are given, but in general, the mid to long run, yeah, there's going to be more winners than losers, and even the people who are on the losing side, they can turn things around. Yeah, because you already have that Amazon experience. Yeah, if you happen to sell a product that is now not in demand anymore, you can always switch to another product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I hope everyone makes the best out of it, right? So in general, it's looking good, especially compared to other platforms and industries, right? So we should be happy, even though things are not going perfect for each of us, right? And I hope everyone, yeah, turns it around in a way that is good for them, right?
I like the optimistic outlook. Very good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, consumer behavior is also shifting quite a bit. So maybe those who weren't previously shopping on Amazon, now they are, because it's the only way, essentially. So it leaves a lot of room for opportunity for new products to be successful. And like you said, new creative ways or new bundles that can come out of the situation that you could potentially start selling, maybe something that you didn't even consider prior to this as well.
100%, right? So the way I'm seeing it now in the short run, there's a lot of people making money with the protective, personal protective equipment, for example. Yeah, I didn't want to jump on that bandwagon because it was too volatile for me.
Right.
So there's new restrictions on Amazon, and even by law, right? Who can sell, who cannot sell, what you can sell. And I think this part, yeah, for me, it wasn't an option, yeah, because it was too volatile and it's not long term enough. Yeah, so the way I like to do things is really long term, not these quick wins, right? Which this would be, I suppose. But for some people are doing a lot of money there, right, with sanitizers and
of
yeah,
course,
obviously, right? So yeah, the way I'm trying to see this, I want to look, okay, what's coming after this crazy lockdown, right? So there's going to be this lockdown, there's going to be for a while, but this is only going to be for a short while. Yeah. So the demand we've seen now, especially in consumables and so on, is all coming from this short run lockdown. Yeah. This heavy lockdown. As we see in Europe now, things are loosening up a little bit, right? So the next phase, I think, will be a much longer phase, which will not be normal again, right? So it's going to be somewhere between a lockdown and what we used to have before. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm trying to anticipate, okay, what are the demands then during this phase?
Right. Yeah. So how are you prepping? What are you trying to do in the meantime as we are slowly coming out of this phase, at least in Europe for now?
Yeah.
What are some strategies maybe you can share for those that are thinking long term, exactly like you are?
Yeah. So what I like using is for this market research, right? I think we have at Sellics a really nice blog about, consumer behavior and how demand is shifting. So that was a really good article. I've looked at that. And when you want to go more granular, what I've done is I've looked at the brand analytics Assertion report.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can, if you're brand registered, you'll have access to it. Yeah. And you see actual search volumes given from Amazon. So they're very up to date and accurate, right? And sort of ranking, yeah, what is searched the most, what is searched less, yeah, in terms of ranks. And you can see that per marketplace. Yeah. And I think the best marketplace to look at right now is Italy and Spain, because they're a bit further ahead in the pandemic than us, right? Yeah. So I've been looking through that search term report and trying to see trends. Yeah, what's coming, what's increasing in demand, to get product ideas.
Right. Some forecasting there.
Some forecasting there, exactly. Nice. Yeah. You'll see, of course, the top sellers are masks, obviously, right? But I want to go beyond that, right? So I want to be selling masks, but something that is also in higher demand now.
Makes sense.
Exactly. So this would be, I think, we do have a slide for that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Since you were mentioning the survey that we did and the research that we've done on specific categories, I know you have that slide you wanted to share as well with us.
Yeah.
We can take a closer look at it and what we've been able to analyze throughout this time.
Yeah, I mean, the full article is much more in depth, right? But what this shows us is the very immediate effect of the lockdown, right? So people are bored, Nintendo switches up, right?
Yeah,
People are
Animal
bored.
Crossing. Even I was almost tempted to do it and get Animal Crossing. I have not yet, but I heard
Oh,
it
oh,
is very
really?
good. Yeah.
All right, I'll look into that. Yes,
Yeah.
you do have some extra time these days, right? um, Needlework, some hobbies. I think puzzles are up like crazy as well, right? Sports, probably for indoor sports, home use, right? And maybe single sport like running, bicycles, I suppose,
Right.
skateboarding, yeah, rollerblades, something that you can do by yourself outside, yeah. But again, this is definitely interesting to have a look at for me personally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not very sure if I'm going to jump on that bandwagon, yeah, because if you try to source now something from China, for example, yeah, and sell it, the whole situation and demand might have changed in the meantime, right? So I'm
Right.
going to try to anticipate that phase after the lockdown phase, yeah, and how demand is going to shift there.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, so this is what's happening right now, but obviously it can change in a couple of weeks. I mean, things have been changing quite rapidly. So maybe, like you said, the long-term approach would be much better rather than trying to jump on the bandwagon of what's currently popular. Sounds like the best approach
Yeah.
that you think would work.
Look, I mean, this is for me, right? But if anyone, for example, you're reselling, yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
you have a good source of reselling any goods of these, right?
Right.
You should definitely do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, this is my individual strategy. But if I would be in the reselling business, yeah,
Right.
I try to find these items and put them on Amazon right now. Yeah, I try to find a warehouse. Yeah. So if other sellers cannot send to the FBA warehouse, I can deliver, right? And buy from the market. A lot of shops are closed. There must be opportunities out there, right?
Right.
Buy from them as well. Yeah. And resell.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
yeah,
makes
if
sense.
you can act fast and you have that flexibility,
Yes.
I would definitely recommend. This is something I would do, but it's not the way I usually work, right? I tend to think more long term and investing heavily into the marketing of a product
Right. Yeah,
and
and it
building that
seems
brand. Mm-hmm.
it seems like during this time, there's not one right approach. It's different for every seller, again, depending
Mm-hmm.
on category. And this is not something we've ever seen before. So
Yeah.
it's just the best to stay informed, try to do some forecasting, and like you said, diversify and look at what
Yeah.
could be up and coming.
100% right. So I think diversification, if there's something to be learned for everyone, right, through this crisis, is the winners are the ones who diversified. Yeah, be it vendors who also have a seller account. Yeah, be it vendors who have a seller account and have their own fulfillment. Right. So these
Right.
are the ones that are set. Yeah, because even for vendors, purchase orders stopped coming in. Yeah. So not
Yes.
only for sellers did they not receive FBA shipments, but also for vendors, purchase orders
Right.
started coming in. And for big brands now, the shift towards e-commerce is much more than before, right? So the people who are handling the Amazon accounts get the heat now, right? So this is the only stream of revenue that is left, right? So there's going to be pressure on them.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we jump into the questions, do you have any final strategies or any tips or key learnings maybe from this whole event as you've gone through it so far? I know you've mentioned diversification, but maybe just any other insights that you would want to give. And of course, if any of you want to have questions answered, please leave them in the chat and we'll get to them shortly as well.
Yeah. So like you said, I think the biggest takeaway is diversification, again, in supply, right? Having different suppliers for your same product, having different products across different industries if you can, right? From different marketplaces. That's another way of diversification. Then in terms of selling, of course, Amazon is the most important platform. Having your own shop though won't hurt you, right? And definitely logistics, right? So if you're using FBA, it's going to continue to be the most important fulfillment for Amazon. But having that second option is definitely not wrong. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing. It's really great to get seller perspective since you've gone through everything. So really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think yeah, that was my example was a bit lucky, right? There's been some other sellers who weren't so lucky. and I had some other products as well where replenishing was an issue, right? But those weren't the products that are like high selling now, right? So I wasn't so worried about them. Yeah.
Okay. So it seems like we can get into some more questions.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So let me just take a look at our chat. Give me 1 second. Just going to look through the chat. So Chris is asking, can you tell us about your marketing strategy in and out of Amazon, and what other platforms are worth getting into?
Yeah, so I have a Shopify store, right? And I use a lot of influencer marketing, right? Because I have more expensive products. So influencers are happy to receive them. And sometimes I don't even have to pay for them, right? So what I do is I go on YouTube, I look at that niche I'm working with. Yeah, I see who's the influencer. And even without negotiating, I just write them, are you interested to check out my new product, right? This is it. Yeah, it's that, it costs that much. I send it out. And usually the response is, yeah, of course. Yeah, let me check it, right?
Right.
And if they like your product, they talk about it, they post it, right? And what I do then is I take these videos and I cut them into a video and use it for Facebook promotions and Instagram promotions.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll have real people using your product. Yeah, it gives more trust to the user, right? And it's more fun to watch than a regular commercial. And you've gotten the reach already through their social media, which I direct usually depending on them. Yeah, if I sometimes direct it towards my website. If they want to use their affiliate link, of course, to Amazon. Yeah, and if it's through Amazon, the better, because it will increase your organic sales as well, right?
Okay.
I mean, your organic ranking, sorry. Yes, and the additional sales velocity that is coming from the external traffic, yeah, will be beneficial. Amazon does like that.
So doubling down maybe on influencer marketing seems like the way to go.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like what I've heard from other sellers is that social media now, Instagram, is working super nicely. Yeah, probably because people are at home a lot now, I suppose, right? And yeah, but this is the way I usually do it, right?
Okay. That makes sense. So influencer marketing, and then Shopify is the other platform worth getting into for you. And then of course your own website. Okay, perfect. So hopefully, Chris, that answers your question. Let's see. Mahesh is asking, wouldn't Amazon penalize if your order is not fulfilled? What happened in your case?
Oh yeah, so
when you went out of stock, I'm assuming.
That's a very good question. That's exactly the reason why I stopped the practice, right? Because I was too worried that I'll have too many orders that I cannot fulfill. Yeah, and this is why I stopped it. But if you're certain that it's coming, yeah, and you can give a delivery date. Let's say your items are coming within a week. Yeah, you know, within a week time, they're in your Amazon warehouse, and after it takes a few days until they're unpacked and loaded and all that, right? So you can deliver basically in 10 to 14 days. You put the delivery time of 3 weeks and you're fine. Yeah, you can do that to not get out of stock, not to run out of stock. Yeah, but for me, I was uncertain if and when my items, my goods will arrive. This is why I turned it off. Yeah.
Right.
And after getting in these orders, yeah, maybe there's one more point. If you want to do this, right, after getting in your orders, how do you do the fulfillment? There's something called multi-channel fulfillment. Yeah. So when you go to your Seller Central, you go on the items itself. Yeah, you can go to multi-channel fulfillment, and then you can fulfill each order manually. Yeah, you just have to put in the address and fulfill each order.
So hopefully, Mahesh, that also answers your question. Thank you.
There's another point regarding that, right? So what Amazon has done is a lot of people are out of stock, right? They've suspended or they've stopped the suspension of accounts due to account health, right? So if you were not able to fulfill or you're late with your orders, yeah, usually account health is a big issue. It still is, right? And you shouldn't jeopardize this. But they were more lenient than before.
Okay. Awesome. Just looking at the chat here. Another question from Constantine. Does it make sense to use vacation mode for the seller account?
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yeah. So if you can't fulfill, I think this is something Amazon suggests as well, right? You should put it on vacation mode. It might have an impact of on your organic rankings in terms of you'll be faster back as to where you were before you run out of stock or before you put it on vacation mode.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no experience with that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So not something you've implemented
Not something
so
I've
far.
implemented myself. Yeah.
Okay. And then another question we have is, do you have a plan B in case Amazon cancels your store for any reason?
Oh yeah. So this is why being diversified is good, right?
Yes.
So if they cancel my account, I suppose, right, is my seller account. Yeah. I do have my Shopify store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not getting as many sales as through Amazon, but I'll double down on that and try to reopen it, right? But don't risk jeopardizing your account. Yeah, I mean, don't only use this technique if you're very certain that you're getting goods in and you can deliver within the time that you promised to deliver, right?
Right.
So that is something, this is why I turned it off, because I wasn't 100% sure. I still had some in stock, which I could have sent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really, I took that risk very seriously. I didn't take it lightly.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even if these goods didn't arrive to the warehouse, I did have a possibility to still fulfill these orders. Yeah. So don't do this if you don't have this possibility, right?
Thank you. Okay, so bit of a lengthy question here. Love those. Keep them coming, everybody. If you have any questions, let us know. But this one says, I cannot replenish enough products I need on Amazon. My monthly sales are 600 units, but Amazon allows me to replenish only 200 units. What should I do? Any recommendations? And I'm sure a lot of sellers are experiencing this type of scenario right now. So yeah, any
100%.
recommendations for this?
So what I've done now, right? I've gotten this other logistics company, fulfillment center that I'm working with now, and I'm splitting the items that are coming from China into two, right? So one is going to Amazon warehouse. I max out, whatever I can send there, and the rest is going to the other warehouse, right? And then you can again have two kind of offers, one fulfilled by Amazon and one fulfilled by your other logistics partner, right? So when you're out of stock with your FBA offer, you're there with the other offer.
Right. Perfect. So then that also, of course, doesn't have a negative impact on how you're ranking, right? So you don't run the risk.
No, it should be fine, right?
Stock, yeah.
And if you have the chance, I mean, you should subscribe to Seller Fulfilled Prime. Yeah, I know there's a waiting list, and but definitely subscribe and try to get Seller Fulfilled Prime, because then it doesn't really make a difference, right? If you use FBA, you still have that Prime badge, and that shouldn't affect you at all.
Okay. Good tip. Perfect. And then another question we have, for a first launch of a new seller, what would be your recommendation in when to launch, during these strange days? So when's the best time to launch during this time?
I mean, these are definitely strange days, but the demand shifted. Demand is up for certain items, and I hope you're selling one of those items. Then now is the time, Now is more the time than ever to launch these kind of products, right? That are in high demand. And but you have an advantage, right? So it depends how big you're going in. If you have smaller quantities that you want to start with, it's not going to be feasible to have two kinds of fulfillments, right? FBA and some other fulfillment. But if you can afford it, right, and you can go in both, you'll be set better than most of the sellers, right? And it's going to give you a huge advantage, even especially now, where a lot of people are out of stock, a lot of people can't replenish their goods, right? And you start off with being able to fulfill, you'll have the upper hand.
Love that. The positive outlook's always great.
Trying to make the best out of it.
Yeah. Awesome. So doesn't seem like there's any other questions for right now. If you would like, for everybody watching, and maybe you have questions later on, we will be posting this video over on our YouTube channel. So feel free to leave your questions there as well in the comments. And I'm sure Yasser will also be happy to give his input there, just in case you do have any questions afterwards. But yeah, Yasser, any final thoughts or remarks that you want to share with everybody? And you've given us so much already, and so many insights and tips, which we really appreciate. But if there's anything else,
I mean,
yeah, let
I
us
think
know.
on the long run, I mean, Amazon and e-commerce in general, right, is going to be even stronger than before, right? And if you're getting started now, it's a very good moment to get started now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, brick and mortar stores, will move to Amazon and e-commerce.
Right.
It's going to get more crowded, but there's going to be the higher demand to meet the supply there, right? So everyone will have a space in the industry. And the way I see it, right, anticipate what's coming, try to anticipate a little bit what's coming on the short to long run,
Mm-hmm.
and be ready for it. Yeah, and be set as diversified as possible in order to cope with any challenges that might come your way.
Right. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for your time, Yasser.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. I'm sure it's not the last time we'll have you on. We were
Awesome.
really, yeah,
My pleasure.
a lot of great insights so far. And of course, things can definitely progress. Hopefully everything will be headed in a more positive direction, or continue to be headed in a more positive direction throughout this crisis. So yeah, thank you once again. And for everybody watching, I did want to let you know that next week we do have a really special edition of Sellics Thursday Live, since we are launching something new. Now, I can't give too many details just yet, but rumor has it that it is revolving around advertising. So if you're interested in that, feel free to register and secure your spot. We will leave the link in the chat. So yeah, very exciting things coming your way very soon. And I just wanted to take some time to once again appreciate all of you here for being here and joining us, and then you, Yasser, of course, for sharing all of your knowledge. I hope that you all have a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you all very soon.
All right. Thank you,
All
Diana.
right.
Ciao. Ciao,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Ciao.